Hello and welcome to the fourth in our series of TalkLIS interviews. My name is Julian Tyndall-Biscoe, and over the course of this series I'll be talking to individuals involved in LIS projects throughout the UK, finding out about the challenges they face and what the future holds for them. Today we're in Newham and I'm joined by Stephen Croney, who is Corporate GIS and Information Manager at the London Borough of Newham. Good afternoon, Stephen. I wondered if you could just tell us a little bit about the project and the challenges that you faced along the way.
I think initially we were running a almost like a data and statistics repository, based kind of loosely on sort of Microsoft Access technology. And it kind of became apparent that there was quite a big appetite for kind of information and people trying to get hold of census information, various demographic data sets. And so from there, from that point onwards, really, we started to look at sort of what providers were out there that could deliver the kind of sort of an LIS system for us. So we obviously came across the InstantAtlas product from GeoWise and liked what we saw and kind of worked then to develop a site based on that. I mean, in terms of the kind of the challenges that were faced, in terms of the setup initially, there probably weren't too many, to be honest. There was sufficient funding to kind of deliver the project and quite a kind of strong resources behind it in terms of the team. I think the challenges really have kind of been sort of since its development, really, in terms of the amount of data that went into the system initially and managing that, keeping the data up to date, as well as kind of sort of dwindling resource in terms of staff kind of being dedicated to look after it. So we've had to kind of work a bit more smarter in the way that we manage the data that we have in the system, given the amount of resource that we have, so that we can make sure that data is kept accurate and up to date. I think one of the major issues initially was that we had so much data in there, just keeping it kind of current was a major challenge for us, and left very little time kind of at the end of the day to do any sort of further development or promotion and sort of comms work around the site and the benefits that it can have for the authority.
Okay, so now you've been through that process of getting the data in, and you've made sure that you can get it up to date with fewer resources. You're spending more time pushing it out and showing other people what the benefits are. What do you think are the benefits of a local information system like Newham Info?
I think the benefits, one of the main benefits is really just having all that information in one place. You know, a lot of the information that we store within Newham Info is accessible elsewhere, but it's often in 4 or 5 different kind of maybe government organisation websites or data downloads. There's often a bit of kind of pre-processing of data that would have to be done by somebody to get access to that information. So what we're trying to do is deliver the data out to people in a kind of an easy to understand and visualise way, so that they can kind of make the most of the information that they're requesting. It also cuts down on sort of their time in terms of gathering information and kind of making sense of it. So there's efficiencies to be had there within our organisation. And also, Newham Info is a publicly available site, so it's there's a lot of value there for partners, but also kind of community as well, in terms of being a place where they can go and access the information. And that's something that I think's been quite prevalent with the kind of recent release of the census information. So Newham Info has been a great resource for us to be able to put all that data up somewhere that can be easily accessed, and obviously also then kind of backed up with some other information that we have. So census data, but we can also load in other population-related data sets from people like the GLA and some of our own kind of independent commissioned work that we've had done around population. So it's not just kind of one version of data. We've got kind of current up-to-date information, but also some good comparators to have as well.
And do you think that having one source of the data also helps, because all the organisations and other agencies that you mentioned who will come in and look at it, they know that they can trust this one source. So that helps in terms of comparison, I guess, in terms of analysis and planning.
Yes, definitely. I think, one of the real benefits, everything being in one place, with regards to population, for an example, Newham, before the census 2011 figures came out, were kind of in a lot of dispute around what we thought our population figure was. And, depending on which service you worked in, you may use a different population types. Some may have used ONS, others may have used GLA, others may have used something completely different. So by having this system and pushing this data out in one kind of consistent format, and we can almost kind of control what the version is that we want people to use, what the official kind of population figure is, for example. And what we're really trying to do is sort of develop a process with Newham Info where we're kind of telling the story of Newham in terms of its demographics, so that there isn't any kind of ambiguity in which data sources people should be using. And the expertise kind of exists within our service that we can kind of encourage people to use the most appropriate data for them.
Yes. It sounds as though you developed a very useful resource. You did mention before the fact that you're using less resources now, and we wondered whether the impact of local government cuts, local government restraints, may have a future detrimental impact on you. What do you think that will hold for you in terms of looking ahead?
I actually see that there are some kind of advantages over that rather than more than disadvantages. I think from the point of view that organisations that kind of increasingly look to work smarter and more efficient as well, and there's a lot to be said by having a kind of a good sort of informative LIS, that you can realise a lot of efficiencies from that. I'm thinking in terms of data gathering for kind of documents, project work, strategies, all that kind of stuff that goes on certainly within a local government organisation. If you can do some work to cut down the amount of time it takes you to gather information and kind of analyse it and make and understand it, then it cuts down on officer time, and there's some real benefits to be had by having an LIS that does that work for you.
So actually having an LIS could help you become more efficient. So in some ways, anybody that says, well, we're thinking about taking the axe or reducing resources that we might put into LIS is actually, you could say, cutting their nose off to spite their face in some respects.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's really quite true, especially when it, for us as an organisation, we're kind of working towards sort of a commissioning-based approach, which requires a lot of evidence gathering and kind of understanding and needs analysis work to be done. And one of the key components behind that is current useful demographic information, as well as kind of system information as well. But obviously the benefits of an LIS, it's not just about kind of publicly available or national demographics. We can look to bring in our own data from our own systems and put that into Newham Info, and obviously then present that out in an easy to understand and visual way. So yeah, there's definitely some benefits to be had there in terms of efficiencies, because if you consider the time it would take an officer to kind of gather all that information from all the disparate sources in which it comes from and process it and sort the data in a way that they need to be used in whatever project or kind of strategy they're working on, that kind of work has been taken away by having something like Newham Info, because they, in theory, can just go straight in, select the theme of data they want, and be given a profile or a data view of the information they require. I'm not saying that we're there yet in achieving that, but that's the kind of the target that we're working towards.
And do you think that, in terms of the future, and we're talking about how communities find out information and use the information, do you think that there's a possibility or greater potential for communities to become more actively involved by, for instance, submitting their own data? I mean, obviously it would have to meet the requirements that you set down, but in terms of being able to report back in and making it more of an interactive system, do you think there's a potential for that to happen?
I think so, yes. I think we're already trying to do some work around integrating with sort of partner organisations within the authority, or to work with the authority. And I think communities is, but not something that necessarily we've looked at the moment, but it's certainly an area I think of interest. We are increasingly kind of working around developing community hubs within the borough, and I think that's something that an area of work that where Newham Info can play a real benefit to people in terms of them being able to source kind of local information sort of in one place, and as we've already discussed, kind of like a single version of data rather than numerous people taking numerous data sets and no one really knowing which one is the correct one to use. So
well, thanks Stephen for telling us about the project you've been working on and for telling us a little bit about the future as well. It's something that I'm sure we'll all be interested in keeping an eye on. We hope you've enjoyed this program and that you'll join us for the next in our series of TalkLIS.